Good morning. Selamat pagi from sunny tropical Penang, Malaysia. Welcome to the next installment of IFLA-APR Talk and Share. I'm Landscape Architect Ting Piang from the Institute of Landscape Architects Malaysia, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. So for today, we will be covering the topic of biodiversity and ecology, with a particular focus on frameworks and standards in landscape architecture. So we have quite a diverse range of speakers today, including Crystal Fountains, who is a corporate member of the International Federation of Landscape Architects, IFLA, and a strong supporter of our profession. All right, so I'll talk a bit about our institute first. Now, ILAM was founded back in 1981. So we are the national professional body representing the landscape architecture profession in Malaysia. We have over 1,600 active members across the country. One of the things we are really passionate about is the collaborative spirit. We really enjoy working with international professional bodies, in particular IFLA and IFLA-APR, to further the cause of the profession through capacity building initiatives. So I think one of our recent pet projects is the NBS Asia Conference, which is held in KL yearly. So we've been running it for about 2 years now. The third one's on the way, a little bit further this year. I do hope to see you all there if the opportunity permits. To kick off today's session, I thought of sharing something I came across during my early years of studying and working in Melbourne, so which is the EVC mapping kit. So this online database, it's something that you could access publicly, to identify the original plants of a region before the colonization period. So as a landscape architect, it serves as a very powerful tool in helping guide you to re-establish the original ecological conditions of your project site. I think what's really mind-blowing is that this database has been around for almost 30 years in Australia. Now, when ILAM was tasked with hosting today's talk and share, we wanted to hone in more on the region of Southeast Asia, which Malaysia is part of. Some interesting facts about Southeast Asia is that while it only covers 3% of the Earth's surface, it contains 20% of the world's biodiversity. Yet we account for some of the fastest pace of urbanizations in the world. So this creates this paradox of progress versus ecological sustainability. So I think we've seen this quite common. It's an illustration that kind of captures the common perception of progress and development, that we experience in Southeast Asia about almost 30 years ago. You acquire this prime land, you clear it all in the name of progress and urban development. You maximize development densities, plot ratios, and you plonk in trendy, exotic trees like bushidas and teckomas. You give the project a trendy name inspired by nature. So it is fair to say that the world has very much changed, very much different back in those days. Critical landscape interventions, like WSUD, biophilic design, nature-based solutions, were not conceived yet at that time. So we have come quite a long way since then. The loss of natural habitat is an inevitable result of urban sprawl. Territories are constantly being encroached on and contested. We start to have these deep, heated philosophical conversations on land ownership and entitlement in the context of man or nature. So the question beckons, is there a chance we could coexist together? So this is George. I call him George anyway. So George likes to stalk me once a month, in the morning of my house, staring at me through the window sills while I'm still asleep. George runs away when I try to get near him, which I like to think is a good thing. We have also seen a paradigm shift in the way we approach challenges that come with urbanizations. There was a time when drainage infrastructures were designed to discharge stormwater runoff as fast and as effectively as possible. No nonsense, that kind. So present-day infrastructure guidelines and handbooks are now gradually embracing this more nature-inspired approach, such as bioretention swales, rain garden, sponge city concepts. So it allows for the creation of this kind of hybrid symbiotic relationship between man and nature. So the vast majority of Southeast Asian countries, have this a colonial past that's deeply rooted within its identity. So, notions of strangely familiar tabula rasa, it's embedded in the way that landscapes are perceived, even today. So things like manicured lawns, boxy sharp hedges, and even cast iron fountains, So the establishment of present-day frameworks and standards help to ensure that these historical civic spaces, they have a new purpose, they stay relevant in addressing today's sustainability issues. So we look at, like the reinstatement of a historical moat within the UNESCO World Heritage Site. It can do more than just be a resurrected relic. It can now capture stormwater runoff, filters water through phytoremediation. Water features go beyond their aesthetics and conventional appeal to help aerate and oxygenate water as part of the biotop ecosystem. We start to see like golden frogs, dragonflies appearing, which is an indication of a clean and thriving ecosystem. So, with that in mind, you know that you are on the right path. I think to wrap up, based on the first slide on the EVC database, we have come a long way. So National Park Singapore, for example, they have this really brilliant database and advanced search engine, that the public can access. In Penang, where I'm from, we have the Atlas of Climate Resilient Tree Species database, which the public can access and utilize as well. These tools, along with our critical thinking, skills as landscape practitioners, it does allow us to, provide or craft out a certain structure, of emergence of a framework for us to goreng, to stir fry, literally, a narration for our landscape projects, allowing us to reconcile our projects with ecology and biodiversity. And that sums up my introduction. Alan Tan is a lawyer by training and an environmentalist by accident. So as a local Penang boy, Alan is proud to have played a part in the creation and development of the Habitat Penang Hill, and subsequently the Habitat Group as its founding managing director. Now, Alan is also tremendously proud to have played a part in the successful nomination and subsequent designation of the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve under UNESCO's Man and the Biosphere Program, and looks forward to continuing to work to help Penang demonstrate that economic development does not have to come at the expense of the environment, and that human beings can indeed live in harmony with nature. Over to you, Alan. Dipersilakan.
Thank you very much, Pei Yang, for the kind invitation to participate in today's webinar. And thank you to IFLA Asia-Pacific, and also to all of you who've carved out time to join us today. I'll try and share my screen now and try not to make any mistakes. So let's see.
All right, fingers crossed.
Okay, entire window, enable, okay. All right, here we go. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Not
yet.
Yet.
Not yet? Oh.
Not yet. Oh, yay. Okay,
yes, got it? Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to start. So I'm going to start with a short video just to give you all a context of what the Habitat Penang Hill is. It is the flagship park of the Habitat Group, the first one. It opened its doors actually 10 years ago. In January 2016, and so this is actually the 10th year of the park's existence. Here we go. Great, I'll just shut this down. All right, and here, switch over. Okay, can you guys see my PowerPoint?
You can.
Pei Yang?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Hi, everyone. I am Alan Tan. I was the founding and former managing director of the Habitat Group. And today I'm going to speak on the topic of harnessing the power of business for good. And again, thank you to everyone for being here, and thank you to the hosts and the sponsors, of course, Crystal Fountains, for having us all today and enabling us to share our stories. Thank you. So, an introduction to the Habitat Group. These slides are actually about 5 or 6 years old already. However, and this is where it all began. The Habitat Penang Hill is a world-class rainforest discovery center, and we're set amid an ancient rainforest. Some estimates put it at about over 100 million years old, on Bukit Kerajaan, or Bukit Bendera, Penang Hill in Penang Island. Which of course is a very storied and it's been a British hill station, a former British hill station for over 200 years. It's got a lot of heritage there, and of course, recently in 2021, it was also designated as part of the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve. And as Pei Yang mentioned, I was very heavily involved in that designation process and nomination process. During the time that we were also building up the Habitat Penang Hill Park business, as well as the group itself. On the right, you'll see the Habitat Foundation, which was established in October 2017, not long after the park first opened in January of 2016. And the foundation's mission is to contribute towards innovative solutions to conserve biodiversity and protect the natural environment in close collaboration with government agencies, experts, NGOs, and community partners. Just for context, for those of you who are not from Malaysia or not from the region, Penang is that little red star on the left on the map on the left. We are located in the north of the Straits of Malacca, at the entrance to the Straits of Malacca from the Andaman Sea. Just a short distance from the border with Thailand, Peninsular Malaysia's border with Thailand. On the right, on the top right, you'll see the funicular railway, which celebrated its 100th anniversary about 2 years ago, about 3 years ago. So it's actually been around since 1923. So a few years back, we celebrated 100 years of the funicular railway. And then at the bottom there, of course, you'll see Curtis Crest, our signature treetop walk, nestled within the rainforest on top of Penang Hill. Penang Hill itself is located approximately 800 meters above sea level. The highest peak is actually Western Hill at 833 meters. And hence, as a result, the temperature on top of the hill and at the Habitat Penang Hill is approximately 2 to 3 degrees cooler than downtown. And this has been a major drawing point for visitors and people living in Penang and even in Malaysia as a whole to visit the hill throughout for millennia now. So the Habitat Group practices a circular business model where the park generates sustainable financing and income, which is then channeled towards the work of the Habitat Foundation And the work of the Habitat Foundation in the space of conservation research, education, environmental education, sustainability and training or capacity building within, in various ways. I'll touch upon that later. Then is contributed to enhance the visitor experience and the visitor, the knowledge base of the business. The Habitat Group, or Habitat, is also a B Corp certified business. B Corps are a community of over 10,000 companies globally that measure our success on the triple bottom line of positive impacts on people, planet, as well as profit or prosperity, or in terms of shareholder return. And we firmly believe, as a B Corp certified business, that business can be a force for good, and that what is good for business, what is good for the environment, is also good for business. So B Corps, as I mentioned, are a community of, these slides are slightly out of date, of over 10,000 companies now in over 160 industries. And over 160 countries, actually. And the most famous B Corps globally, Patagonia, as you can see on the right, The Body Shop, here in Malaysia as well, Natura is another brand, public listed, Tom's, the shoe brand, and Ben & Jerry's. We, the Habitat Group, were the fifth in Malaysia to be certified as a B Corporation. So our commitment is to, as you saw from the video, to conserve, to contribute towards conservation of biodiversity through education, research, and to inspire people to reconnect with nature and to believe in their ability to make a difference in their daily lives towards the conservation and preservation of nature, and to reimagining our relationship as a species with our environment, our natural environment. So our mission is to reconnect visitors. As you saw from the video, there are lots of, and you'll see later on in the slides, there's a lot of activities and programs that we run, which center and around bringing people back into nature and reconnecting them with nature. And of course, the other side of the coin is to strengthen conservation efforts throughout Malaysia and beyond. So this is a map of the park. It's a linear park. The trail itself is about 1.6 kilometers. You start on the lower right-hand corner at the main entrance, which is a short 5-minute walk from the funicular top station. Funicular train itself takes approximately between 5 to 10 minutes to get up, to get you from the bottom of the hill up the 2.2 kilometer track to the top of the summit of Penang Hill. And then it's a short 5-minute walk to the entrance of the habitat. You'll see our ticket office there on the right with the white roof, which is I'll talk a little bit more about that later, which is an incredibly historical building, quite amazing, really, built in the 1800s. Then you see number 5 there on the map is our canopy walk. It's our canopy walk known as Langer Way, named after the dusky leaf Langer. And there's a story behind that as well. You know, the Langers were spotted utilizing the cables that the bridge segments sit on during the construction, and that inspired us to name it after them. And then you make your way up to the Underban Tents, which is a major event space, as well as Curtis Crest, which is of course what the habitat is really well known for. It's the highest publicly accessible viewing platform in Penang Island, and the only higher peak on Penang Island is Western Hill, and that's off limits because of the military radar station that's located there. And at the end of the course, we have of the nature trail, you find our zip lines. It's now been rebranded actually to flight of the. It's no longer a flight of Kalugo. It's actually a flight of the. Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Anyway, it's there's a zip line course right at the end. And then we have, of course, F&B and retail just before you exit. So the development of the park commenced in approximately 2013. We actually secured and won the RFP from the Penang State government at the time in 2010. But it took us a couple of years to sort through the details of the contract and the concession. And we finally commenced construction in 2013. Really, the design philosophy and ethos of the entire project from the very, very beginning was to put nature first. and to promote and celebrate our natural heritage and the natural heritage of the site, as well as the built and historical heritage of the site. Another guiding principle was actually universal access. So about 80% of the habitat is 80 to 90% actually is accessible by wheelchair and or pram, if you're pushing a child along in a pram or a stroller. So because our trail is actually very gradual, it's about 1.6 kilometers. As I mentioned earlier, it's fully concrete, and you can actually, really, you can access the bridge as well. And the only place that you would have a bit of trouble accessing if you were on a wheelchair or stroller is the top of Curtis Crest. Education is a key element. Environmental education, of course, nature-based education is a key element of what we do. And we really try to unlock the unique vistas of Penang Hill, the rolling hills that end at the Andaman Sea and the North Channel of Penang Island, which many people were unable to enjoy for many years because there was no proper infrastructure to enable people to access the rainforest on the other side of Penang Hill from the main town center. Bringing people together, connecting people, and of course, providing people with spaces for contemplation. So we have, for example, 2 giant swings in the habitat. And you can see some monks there walking along the trail on the right-hand side. So it really is quite a beautiful place designed for contemplation. So this is our nature trail itself, incredibly historical as well, because there is evidence to show that it was built in the 1800s. It was actually built to maintain a water catchment drain. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, there's already a path there. We were very lucky because there was already a path there. We did not have to do any cutting or in order to create access. So we're very blessed to have that. We built the trail using a material called hydromedia, which is a porous concrete product, which allows water to seep through the concrete naturally in order to minimize our impact on the site. On the bottom left-hand corner, you will see that there's a painting which shows our trail and one of the big boulders that's located on our trail, as well as Fern Cottage. It's called Fern Cottage in the middle of the painting. And the Meranti tree just to the right of the cottage is still there to this day. This painting is dated 1846 and is now in the possession of the National University of Singapore Museum down in Singapore. So this is evidence that our trail is incredibly historical in the context of the history of Penang and the history, of course, of Georgetown in itself as well. Here you see pictures of our ticket office. As I mentioned, it's a very special building. It is easily the oldest structure on the site. You can see it's made of granite blocks about 1 feet thick. And these were actually already there in existence. But for some reason, the building served as the quarters for our public works department and our local council employees who lived and worked on the hill at the time before we took it over. And you can see in the bottom, in the background picture, that they had painted over the beautiful granite blocks. So our design team, led by Mr. Freddie Walker of Walker Landscape, a local company, landscape designer based here in Penang, and really the master planner of the entire project. He and the team decided that there must be something really beautiful underneath all this paint, and they went about sandblasting away the layers and layers of paint from decades of people just painting over these beautiful granite blocks to reveal what was underneath. And the really interesting thing about this building is actually because of the thickness of the granite blocks, they act as a natural insulating material. So in the daytime, the granite will absorb the heat of the day of the sun, and then so it's always a little bit warmer at night inside, and then vice versa. Overnight, it absorbs the cool, and then it's always a little bit cooler inside. This is Curtis Crest. You can see in the top left-hand corner the little sketch and architectural plan for the structure with some landscape features there. In the middle, top middle picture, you can see the site as it was, and you will notice that there are already a grove of mature trees that were already planted and at the periphery of the site. So there's evidence to suggest that the site was a place for recreation used by as far back as the 1800s because of its prime location in between the governor's mansion, Bel Retiro, just a short walk away, which is the oldest property on Penang Hill, easily over 200 years old by now, and Fern Cottage, which is nearby and which is the second oldest structure on the hill. At the bottom background picture, you'll see the construction process. You can see that we took great pains to not cut any of the trees and to build around the existing site. And the design ethos really, as you can see in the top right-hand corner, the completed product, it was really to give people the sensation of walking in the treetops and being immersed in the trees, in the treetops. So the Habitat Penang Hill serves a purpose of being a rainforest discovery center because we allow you to access not just the forest floor, but all the way into the upper canopy as well into the treetops. And of course, there are beautiful, beautiful views to enjoy of Penang Island and its surrounding areas and the mainland as well along the way. This is Langer Way Canopy Walk. You'll see the bridge on the right, in the right picture. In the middle background picture, you can see how we built it. And the top little picture, on the top left is our co-founder, Mr. Reza Cockrell. The Cockrell family are the sponsors and the owners of the Habitat Group. And there is because of their passion and their desire to give back to society and to really do something that was impactful and demonstrative of a better way of doing business, I guess, for want of a better phrase. This is why we did this. So we built the bridge is made of concrete segments, each weighing 0.5 ton to 1.2 tons, and this is how we did it, using only manpower and no heavy machinery. So you'll see that the Habitat Penang Hill today has welcomed, I'd say we've welcomed over 1 million visitors, and the park itself has been the recipient of the prestigious TripAdvisor Traveler's Choice Award, which is given to the top 10% of attractions around the world, 6 years in a row, from 2021 to the present. We've got very high ranking on Google reviews as well as Klook. So I've got to speed along here. Habitat Penang Hill. So as I mentioned earlier, numerous programs centered around nature, not just for children, which is of course a key demographic that Habitat focuses on, but also for corporates and groups as well. And for those looking to to deepen their connection with nature, there's a range of immersive experiences on offer. Forest bathing is something that came up during COVID, and in the wake of COVID, we designed this program. And bird watching, of course, sunrise yoga, sound healing, starlight camping, which is also a very unique experience on the hill. And because of the versatility of the park and what we built, the park itself lends itself to all sorts of massive functions. The bottom middle picture shows a concert as part of the Georgetown Festival in 2024, I believe it was. And that there are in excess of 500 to 600 people there, right, sitting in the middle of Curtis Crest enjoying a concert. And of course, one thing which I'm very, very proud of is the impact that we've had on helping Penang designate the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve. In the map on the left, you'll see that the Biosphere Reserve encompasses approximately 20% or 25% of Penang Island. Tiny little Penang Island is now home to a second UNESCO accolade after the World Heritage Site designation in Georgetown, our capital city on the right there in the map. And our contribution was in the form of sponsoring BioBlitz in 2017, where we brought together 117 Malaysian and international scientists from as far away as the US and San Francisco, as well as Hong Kong, Singapore, Brunei, and so on and so forth, Australia. And we teamed them up with our local scientists here based at the University of Science Malaysia, as well as 70 high school students from around Malaysia and around the world. They fanned out for 2 weeks in October 2017 and collected biodiversity data and mapped the biodiversity of Penang Hill. And this data was then contributed towards the dossier for nominating the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve. And the Habitat Group also sponsored the preparation of the dossier. So it was officially designated on 15th of September 2021. Some of the species you can see here that you can, and some of the scientists, of course, and our partners. Yeah. Biosphere reserves are they're living laboratories for re-examining our relationship with nature, and they emphasize sustainable utilization of our resources, as well as re-examining our relationship as a species with nature, with the natural world. So now, partly because of our efforts, and of course the efforts of the Penang state government and Malaysian government, Georgetown is now home. Penang is now home to not one but 2 UNESCO designated sites, as I mentioned earlier: the World Heritage Site of Georgetown and UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. Today, the Habitat Group continues and has always continued to support the PHBR project through a grants program. Habitat Academy is an environmental literacy course that's given to primarily students from primary to tertiary all the way to tertiary. Butterfringhi Community Library is another small project that we did in Butterfringhi to give B40 community access to knowledge on the Biosphere Reserve. There is a very fruitful project that we've worked with CIMB, EcoSave, CIMB Islamic on for almost going on 4 or 5 years now, where they dedicate some of their resources, financial resources, towards Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve related projects, and now also projects in the Belum rainforest as well. Continuous education of tour guides is another program that the Habitat Foundation itself engages in. I'm sorry, I've just got to slash through these because Pei Yang's on, telling me that I've run out of time. Sustainable trail building and research grants. So these are just some of the researchers that we've funded over the years to conduct research within the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve. So another thing which has grown out of the Habitat project really is our sister company, Enggang, and through the work of the foundation as well, has contributed towards the establishment of a new tiger reserve called the Sultan Abdullah Royal Tiger Reserve in Pahang. It's on the southern border of Taman Negara and effectively increases the protected area of Taman Negara for tigers by 30%, and all other wildlife, of course, because tigers are the apex species, and everything, if you protect the tiger, everything below it is also protected. So you can see there, it's connected to Taman Negara on the southern border, and it effectively increases tiger habitats in Peninsular Malaysia by 1/3. So, and it serves as a core habitat for tigers. So really, the Habitat Group is a for-purpose organization, and this is since I actually left in November 2024. But since then, the group has just continued to grow and to double down on its core values of operating and promoting world-class sustainable tourism destinations, immersive nature culture experiences, and certified nature-based solutions. As a group, the Habitat Group is firmly committed to conserving and restoring biodiversity, safeguarding cultural heritage, and ensuring both thrive for the benefit of present and future generations. So the future is bright. The Habitat is now also embarking on carbon-related projects in Pahang. Its pilot project in Pahang. There's Habitat Expeditions, which is curated nature-based expeditions. There's Commune, sustainable lifestyle as well. And of course, all are associated with the B Corp certification, and of course, the work of the foundation. Thank you very much. And again, thank you. It's been an honor to be a part of this. Cheers. I will just exit.
Thank you, Alan. That was awesome. I think for me, what I've really enjoyed the most was, to see the fruits of your labor, the completion of the Habitat Penang Hill. You see this framework then being used, in the Engan Tiger Sanctuary. So there is that kind of succession plan.
Yes. So the
there.
seeds were planted on Penang Hill, I would say.
Wow.
And it's just grown and grown from there. Of course, all this would not be possible without the support of the family, the Cockrell family, Dato Sri Harry, Dato Sri Rosna, their son Reza, and his family, and their kids as well. Their other children in the family. So really, it's their commitment, which and their desire to do something important. I think that really has driven all this.
Wow. Well, really glad to have them on board for this and to be the spark, of the habitat. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Alan. Landscape architect Kariza Abdul Khalid is the executive director in Gamuda Parks, a key division of Gamuda Land, which in my words is one of the most impactful and avant-garde developers in Malaysia, with a strong ethos in green township development. With over 20 years in the industry, she has been instrumental in shaping numerous residential and park developments across Malaysia and abroad. Under her leadership, Kariza has pioneered large-scale biodiversity audits, prioritized the conservation of endangered native flora, and championed meaningful community engagement, including launching the Gamuda Parks Academy to foster citizen environmental stewardship. So with that in mind, this is the person you really should be speaking to when it comes to frameworks and standards on biodiversity and ecology. So over to you, Kariza, dipersilakan.
Thank you, Pia. Hi, good morning and good evening, everyone. I also heard that we have also participants not only from Malaysia, but also from Australia. I'm a bit under the weather, but let's try my best. And hopefully things goes well today.
Good.
Where I'm coming from is, compared to Alan is an existing forest, but we actually started our forest from scratch. So what I will be sharing is a bit of background on where we have started and how we implied the nature-based solution or nature as infrastructure in all of our projects. Just a bit of background. I work with a property developer, so we are one of the top property developer in Malaysia. Other than that, we also have engineering, infrastructure, and other department. So these are some of the township that we have completed or ongoing. We have, I think, about a full hand of Malaysia projects. We also have international projects in Vietnam. We also have projects in the UK and Australia. So I just want to bring you back to year 2009 when we start embarking our project in Vietnam, in Yen Sa Park. It was a sewerage treatment plant where we actually converted into a park. So this is what you can see in Yen Sa Park today. How we transform the most polluted area into a thriving greens, and it can be used as recreation. It's part of our unique selling point, and this is the park that we have done it was completed in 2022. So the next one is one of our township. It was a rubber or monocrop plantation back in 2015. When we first look at the land, we were thinking that what will we be doing with the land? How do we respect, what is given to us? And this is Gamuda Gardens today. We actually changed it into a park that's surrounded by a residential area. It is 810 acres of township. How we get people to, the resident to enjoy these kind of facilities, and at the same time it also serves the purpose as part of the retention pond. So this is in year 2017 in Gamuda Cove. We have and this is where it is now, a bit of formal garden, but something different to cater for the unique development in our townships. Coming back to where I've started my career, we formed Gamuda Parks back in 2018. And we actually came out with the biodiversity policy and biodiversity management strategy, for all of our project in the township, taking care of the green ecosystem, blue ecosystem, which is the stormwater and lake and ponds, and brown ecosystem is where we manage the waste or repurpose some of our existing resources at site. So what I want to bring you all today is to Gamuda Cove, which is I think about 20 minutes to half an hour away from KLIA Airport, and you can actually see the development from the airport as you're traveling towards Elite Highway. And we are actually sandwiched between the Kuala Langat Forest Reserve and Paya Indah Discovery Wetlands. So mindfully, we have to look at the planning from the very beginning, how we work with, how do we play with the green area, how do we make sure that the biodiversity or the natural element within the site is intact. And of course, back then, since 2012, rapid fire through Kuala Langat Forest. This is because our development actually sits on a peatland. So it was 2012, 13, and the last one was 2021. So up until now, inshallah, there won't be any more fire because we are managing the site. And how we started with the soil treatment, from the very beginning, how we work with the existing condition, we work with frame, taking care of, tag the plants which will be preserved. We also check the carbon storage in all of our development area before we look into the design. So a biodiversity study been done, a tree preservation survey has also been done with frame and soil carbon stock assessment to facilitate the pre-construction element. So other than that, we also conducted a biodiversity audit as the baseline, and we document all these numbers of flora and fauna species. And our recent audit back in 2025, the biodiversity has increased to 38%. So that indicates that the development that we are doing, the introductions of the new tree species, increases the biodiversity and the ecosystem of the overall sites. So coming back to where I would like to take you over today is the Wetlands Arboretum Center. We have it is basically a 90-acre park within the development of Gamuda Cove, and focusing on the peat fire prevention. How could we restore the wetlands? It is habitable for flora and fauna. It can be used as a recreation area, and it also serves the purpose of retention pond. So by doing so, with the 45 acres of the park, which is half of the park completed, we have already planted more than 150 trees. We have tagged 3,000 trees, and progressively we will be tagging more trees to be put in our apps. And we have 200 protected wetlands tree species, and we are using 100% of native species. And why we are doing so? Because we look at how important do we consider the design aspect with the respect of the surrounding area, and focusing on minimal hardscape for people to engage with and preserve the nature as much as we can. We've created a shallow pond, so that users or residents can actually use and get near to the water. Of course, the safety aspect is important. The shallow pond is surrounding most of the area of the edge, and it gets deeper when it goes towards the center of the pond. Other than that, we also encourage, interactive signboards, to educate our residents and our user on why is it important to take care of the wetlands ecosystem, what will be the contribution to us, and why are we doing certain things. And we also designed a pavilion, that doesn't look like a pavilion. You allow people to, play with the natural element at the same time, and creating a very nice water environment so that people can enjoy. At the same time, we also look into how do we bring back the nature element into the space? How do we engage the edge of the pond, making sure that people can get related to what we've been doing? This is some of the overview of the area. And if you can see, the one on top is actually the playground. Our consultant that worked with us is SD2. So we work together in making sure that the project being delivered and making sure that the cost being kept, and how would we maintain this park for the longer and more sustainable ecosystem. So that's the playhouse towards the end. It has a slide from the first floor level, and we have the water, of course, the retention pond and the aquatic biotopes to basically demonstrate what is wetlands element all about. We also planted deep throat terrace species within the park area, and on the right hand side is Wetlands Arboretum Center, where we conducted workshops, engagement with the public, and educate people on the importance of wetlands ecosystem. So the space is actually quite vast and open for exploration. We have various, it is actually open for public, and it is free of charge. So if you want to drop by, please let us know. And we also created a floating trail, which is a shallow pond area to encourage a better understanding on what are the fishes or what are the insects that can be found within the wetland ecosystem. Sorry. This is an overview of our Wetlands Arboretum Center. And next to the right-hand side is the deep throat cup terraces. And this is where we conducted camping activities, public engagement, events, corporate events, and so on. The building itself portrays an important aspect, where we're actually using most recycled items. The roofs are actually made from the milk carton. The countertop is made from the layer of mud, and the facade is actually using bamboo. So these promote an open ventilation with natural light, minimal lighting. And just to let you know that it is all powered by solar. So we also have one signature fountain at the center, making sure that the water works pretty well. At the same time, gives a positive aspect to the overall environment of wetlands park. And those stick at the center is basically a bird perch, because this area is popular for migration bird. And from the audits that we have conducted into 2025, we managed to document and recorded few birds within the ecosystem. And like I mentioned to you, it's fully powered by solar panel, 100% energy. The water are using the retention rainwater harvesting, and the material are using natural water. And we actually recycle the roof. The roof is using recycled material. And we achieved an EDGE award back in 2023 of the first green building with net zero carbon in Malaysia. Okay, so this is an overview of the building. It's basically very simple, back to basic, raw, and not so fussy. And some area of, of the bird perch with a low deck, and how we recycle the water into a self-regulate irrigation system around the park. And the materials I mentioned to you was actually using bamboo, and we harvest from the site, and how we preserve them and treat them to be part of the facade. So we also have a mini organic farm where we conducted composting workshops and some activities which you will see later. So we started with, planting more than 150,000 trees using Miyawaki technique. By doing so, we actually increased the tree growth and the density of the landscape area. This is how we mimic the forest. And this is Gamuda Park's canopy, which you can actually scan and get an access of where are the trees located and who planted and what type of trees were planted in Wetlands Arboretum Center. But not only in wetlands, in most of our township, and we are now slowly building the database and recording of all the species being planted. So this is an overview of Gamuda Gardens. You can see the Birds Island at the center. We purposely design it in such a way away from human intervention to increase the bird population and to increase the biodiversity within the site area. In Gamuda Gardens, we've planted more than 8,000 trees, and it's all tagged. And this is how the cross section looked like. The lake water are now recycled as part of the irrigation system, and we are using a permeable path that leads the water directly to the ground, and this is part of our approach of climate change adaptation within our township. So the water that evaporates through during the rain season, and it goes directly onto the surface and cooling the area by 1 to 2% in overall temperature. So with that, not only we increase, the property value of the sites, we increase the biodiversity and enhance the overall aspect of the design. So these are some of the approach of environmental and economic social benefits to the community. And the other aspect of Gamuda Gardens, I'm so happy to be part of the team and to see how it transformed from ground zero to where it is now. It is a home of wild ducks and otter. So this is back in Vietnam where we started our bioswale design. It is also surrounded by township, which I will show you the overall overview of Saladon City. So this is the aerial view of the sites, and this is how it looked like from the top. And you can see the amount and density of green introduced within that residential area and how important it is that we've also conducted a research with Ho Chi Minh University. And the research also indicated that the park temperature has lowered down to 1 to 2 degrees, because of the amount of trees and the approach of nature-based solution that we introduced. So coming back to Gamuda Cove, this is Wetlands Arboretum Center where we conducted community programs, we conducted eco-educational program, and we also partnership with University Malaya, who helped us in curating the gallery, at the same time looking at the content of the gallery. We employed native community, which is our nearby neighbor, as our ranger, and they are still working with us now. They help us conducting the program. We work with the native community, to demonstrate some weaving workshop. With this, it will also increase, their economics value within that community, and a better understanding of the younger generation. Why is it important for us to look at this aspect? The tree planting program, the water scientists, and the hands-on activity has actually increased from time to time. Many schools, private schools, government schools who came and enjoyed the activities from time to time. You can actually join the program via our website. Just go to Gamuda Play, GL Play, to sign up and join the programs. So these programs have actually been very popular. One of it is I'm an entomologist. The children will learn about what are the insects on site, and these are the video, which something that I can share with you.
Nestled within the heart of Gamuda Cove lies Wetlands Arboretum, a 90-acre biodiversity sanctuary neighboring the untouched beauty of Playa Indah Discovery Wetlands. Our vision was never to alter, but to honor, to breathe life back into what once was, to restore a timeless landscape into a living tree museum, where nature's secrets are revealed to those who listen. Before any soil was turned, we listened to the whisper of trees, soil, birds, allowing them to guide our path forward. Every element is thoughtfully curated with native and endangered tree species, creating a habitat extension for the wildlife. We expanded the water bodies, allowing them to flow harmoniously and sustain the essence of this living landscape. By embracing simplicity, while nature's own light and air breathe life into every corner. We are inspired by the wisdom of native communities, embracing their deep connection to the land and timeless tradition. We believe in the power of people, of communities coming together, sharing their wisdom, because the greatest gift we can give our children is knowledge. It's not just about what we build today, it's about the hearts we touch, the minds we awaken, and the legacy we leave behind.
Recently, the most recent award is in Vienna, which is last week. We won FIAPC Grand Prix, the excellence on environmental category. So thank you for your attention, and back to you, Piang. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carissa. That was brilliant. I think what really the avant-garde approach, as I kept saying, this is really a departure, from how a conventional developer normally operates. What makes it worth the effort of for a developer to embark on this direction? What was the spark at the beginning?
Thank you, Piang. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. One of the challenges is to convince the management of what we are doing is going to thrive and it's going to be benefits to not only the residents but to the whole environment. And that has actually taken another step further, where we work with several experts in making sure that whatever we design will be translated and appreciated. And now we are still struggling, making sure that people would be appreciated on the element that we've introduced. And more importantly is that to see the transformation from ground zero to where it is now, it is very fulfilling. And I think I'm so happy to be part of the team. We work together with various industry, and to see how people use the park now is something that I couldn't have imagined from the very beginning. So that's my take on it.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I think we've seen initiatives like the audit programs, so all this eventually becomes a framework, is it, that you all could then apply in your other upcoming future projects?
Yes, the design team where I work, we are focusing on design and research. So the pre-development, we actually design a design framework or guidelines to enable us, to guide us. I mean, like, I've been here for more than 20 years. I've seen how things work, things don't work. So we have to basically, come up with a framework or guidelines so that when someone took over, or to instruct our construction team on how to move forward, and how do we maintain it? How are we making it more sustainable? Because I'm also looking at the design and operation team. So we are managing the park, back from scratch, designing into implementation, and also maintaining it. So it has to be holistic. So everyone needs to work hand in hand. It can be, you can maybe showcase a very nice design, but if it takes very hard for you to construct, and it is not viable to and sustainable in the future, it may not be appreciated that much. But if you consider, what will be the end goal from the very beginning, you will be able to look into something more broader, open up your mind to new ideas and innovation. When we were planting the trees, we were also skeptical whether it's going to work or not, but we took the bold decision to go ahead with it. And now we would want to encourage, any researchers or anybody who wish to conduct a research on how effective is the Miyawaki ecosystem. Back in our township, you are more than welcome. If you wish to visit us, my hands are open and welcome everyone to join the journey, so that we can also, get the more feedbacks on, especially when you are the first timer who have not been to the site. And then we can also share our struggles, from the design stage of moving up trees, preserving the trees, protecting the trees, tell our construction people not to touch this area. And when the tree were preserved, some of them does not survive. So a lot of challenges. I'm more than happy to basically share all this in the future.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, thank you in advance for your generosity and for the fellow listeners as well. You know where to visit if you are coming to Malaysia.
Mm,
All right. Thank you so much, Carissa.
thank you.
Right. So I'll now introduce our third and final speaker. Crystal Fountains is a globally recognized leader in commercial water feature design and manufacturing. So founded in 1967 in Toronto, Canada, they are operating globally now, including regional offices in Singapore within the Asia-Pacific region. Crystal Fountains provide comprehensive design, manufacturing, and tender support for iconic public realm projects worldwide. They also offer education and resources through corporate workshops, YouTube videos, online webinars, as well as seminars for university students. A bit about the speaker. Egon is Managing Director of Crystal Fountains Germany, leading business development across Europe, Asia, and Africa. So with more than 25 years of experience in water features, architecture, and international project development, he guides demanding projects from concept to completion and champions innovative, sustainable solutions for urban spaces. It's also worth noting it's 4:13 a.m. in Germany. Am I correct, Egon?
You are correct, Yangba.
Yeah. So Egon, thank you so much for your sacrifice and enthusiasm. And everyone, please be nice to Egon. He is possibly sleep deprived from the time zone and the World Cup. So over to you, Egon.
Thank you so much, Biang, for the introduction. Thanks to IFLA Asia-Pacific to give us the possibilities to introduce Crystal Fountain to you. And thanks to everyone who's outside and online visiting and listen to us here, to Asia, Australia, and maybe around the world, wherever you are online at the moment. So let me bring up the slides. A couple of them I have. So something is going on. Here are the slides. So let's start with the presentation. First of all, I will show you a short agenda for today. So I will introduce a little bit Crystal Fountain to you, what we are doing and how we are, and then we come to the topic, to the biodiversity and ecology. So who we are and what we do. So as Ping already say, we are worldwide operating, and our mission is collaborate to craft joy with water and light. So we are designing water features from zero, from the design to the end, to the maintenance and operation part. So I choose one picture, but we always show how passionate we are about water. You see one of a dry deck fountain in an urban space, and you see so many kids playing in the fountain, interactive, running inside, including baby, the parents playing around, and you see so much joy with the water. And I like this picture so much because the people sitting not around, looking into their mobile phone and not playing with the kids, this is totally different. And you see how a fountain can change a public space into a social connection place. So what we do at Crystal Fountains, we are normally starting with the concept and the design. So from rebar, we are doing all this concept design, schematic design, detail design, up to the tender stage. And we are doing engineering, so we are supporting landscapers. They are doing some concept design from our side with the engineering. We have our own simulation software to support you with the animation and simulation, or when you want to see an effect even before it is created, you can see it on the software side. What we are doing is equipment as well. So everything is produced, made in Canada. And we are producing lights, nozzles, pumps, everything what you need to build up a fountain. And least, we are doing lifestyle support. So it's not that we finish when we support you to build it up the fountain. No, it's the maintenance, all the remote control, what you can do nowadays with a fountain. We do this as well. So we, as Yang Peng already mentioned, we have more than 60 years experience nowadays. We founded 1966 by Roger Leroux. It's a private company, third generation now. And yes, I think that's the background of Crystal. We have a worldwide presence. So we have 5 offices worldwide. Headquarters is Toronto, Canada. We are working in 6 continents all over the world. We have more or less over the time period 15 to 20 projects, what we are designing on our own or together with some landscapers or aqua designers. They are asking support or we do it together. And we're doing around 700 to 750 projects a year, what we are completing. So our offices are in Canada, UAE, Germany, Singapore, and in the US. So this was a little bit the presentation of Crystal Fountains. And now we come to the session from today, the biodiversity and ecology. So modern water features can contribute possibilities to urban diversity, biodiversity, and ecology when you design it responsibly. So the key benefits is mostly 3 side effects of a good design. So for example, you can do something for the habitat, drinking water for birds, insects, or other urban wildlife. probability support. So butterflies can go around, drink some water, and have his habitat for that. You can do cooler microclimate because with, for example, when you're using fog, I will show it a little bit later to you, you can reduce the temperature around the feature. You can reduce the temperature around the place. So you can do economically connectivity. So you link habitats across the city and the green infrastructure network. All birds, all people like water. And this brings me to the last point, especially people and nature are very, very close to water. Maybe you have heard about the book Blue Mind. This explains why people are so close to water and why we like so much water. Because think about how we grow up. We are protected 9 months by water. We have a very nice and close relationship with water. When you bring a fountain into a urban city place, only the noise and the connection and the taste and the sound of water is so important for people. You can reduce your stress level, only listen to some waves. And as you know, when you go to the beach, sitting down, listen to the waves, your blood pressure goes down, the heat frequency goes down, and you can think much easier and more clear close to a water feature or close to an ocean. So some sustainability design principles. For sure, recycling of water, closed loop system, something what gives you some of the points: do not waste water, bring it back, use it again, clean it up. Efficiency, nowadays pumps are very, very efficient. LED lights using a couple of watt and lumen nowadays instead of halogen light, what we have used in the past. And nowadays you have more or less a lot of smart controls. So the pumps, the lights, everything is DMX controlled and gives you much more possibilities than maybe what we have built up in the past. So we capture and we use. You can use nowadays rainwater for sure. You can harvest it. But another good possibilities is for sustainability is using water from aircon. This is used sometimes in the Middle East where it's really warm and you have a lot of aircons around in the building. So you can use this condensate water in the fountain. And when I think about Asia, for sure you have a lot of seawater around and you can build up fountains in seawater as well, or with seawater. Have been used in a couple of installations from our side nowadays. For sure you have to keep the water clean to manage it in a good condition, especially for safety reasons with children in the fountain. And you have to think even when you design a fountain, you have to think about build to last. That a design of a fountain, especially when you're talking about seawater or other fountains, that you have to reduce the work of maintenance, because a lot of people don't like so much fountains because they think about all the work of the maintenance. But when you design a fountain in the right way, it is not so maintenance work. And as we talked about the Blue Mind, water brings you a lot of possibility effects instead of thinking too much about maintenance. For example, fog technology is something what is really common nowadays. And think about the local temperature drop of a fork system can bring you up to 11 degrees reduction close to the fork. Fork is not using so much water, only a little bit fork and mist, and you don't have too much splash water around. And you see this little baby, so it's with the technology nowadays is totally safe. Nowadays we are using as our new products a new technology for pumps. You see the pump and the frequencer is integrated. You have a plug system, very easy to install and fast. It's 100% safe because we are using 24 DC in the fountain. So even when you have an interactive fountain and the kids, as we have seen in the first picture, playing in the fountain, you not have to be worried about safety reason. It's perfect synchronized. You put the nozzle on top and then you can program the fountain even with music synchronized. Not a big deal. And the good thing is you can use sensors. The sensor ready, and you can put, for example, a wind sensor inside to reduce the height of the fountain automatically, that you not have too much splash and lose water. Or even you can use a rain, what we call rain sensor. So it's raining and no one is outside. Then you can stop the fountain because of rain. And the power consumption from this kind of pumps nowadays is so low. So we calculate that it's more or less 1 watt per liter per minute. So that's a really low value. Or you can think about a simple nozzle. In the past, you have used the conventional brass nozzle, full stream, and when you want to build up a jet, let's say 24 to 30 millimeter, you need 240 liters. Nowadays, we call it multi-jet nozzle on the right side. You have a couple of jets, double line, and you use around 80% less water than what you use in a full stream. So that's a big difference, but you are not losing the effect. So the effect on the left and right side is more or less the same, but you are reducing a lot the water consumption, and you are for sure you are reducing a lot the power consumption. Here you see a picture of the jet, and when you, this is a close picture, but when you go 2-3 meters away, then the jet looks full stream. This is a 50 millimeter, so very bright, and the illumination of LED with this kind of multi-jet nozzle is even better than you have a full stream. So you can save with this simple inputs on the design a lot of water and power. So this brings me to the last slide and the key message. So well-designed water feature can transform urban space with vibrant ecological environmental that benefits both people and nature and habitat. So thank you for your listening. When you have questions, please let me know. You can reach us from Crystal anytime from our homepage. They have all the videos and products are on the homepage and the connection. Thank you, and give back to Yongpeng.
Right. Thank you so much, Egon. So that was really an eye-opener, for us landscape architects. I think water features, it's normally, we perceive it as just, water jets, cascading waterfalls, those kind of things. But fog, that is quite a game changer. Imagine reducing the ambient temperature by 11 degrees.
That's a lot, especially for your region, huh?
Yeah, it is. So I think there's something really powerful, about the use of water features, the human connection with water. Water becomes like a key element or a mediator between human interventions and their environment. So it's no longer just a standalone element, right? Not just a pretty little water fountain, but it becomes part of a broader system.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
Yeah.
So when you we as a landscaper are starting to planning a water feature in a space or an urban space, really you have to think about all this positive effects. Don't think too much about the negative, or we are wasting water, we are wasting energy, we are wasting all this stuffs. You can do so much positives to human and to the area with a water feature. So we have seen areas there was, like we talked before, there was shitty places and no one likes to go. And when you start to place to increase the environmental of these spaces and you put a fountain inside, it changed dramatically everything to the positive.
Okay, now I think we'll head into the Q&A part of the session now. So Alan will have to excuse himself a tad bit earlier for
Sorry, guys.
It's all right now. So I think we'll jump straight into some of the questions that the audience has submitted. I'll hone in on you first, Alan. So there's one that
Thanks.
came through. Thank you for the inspiring presentation. Just curious, how does the group manage the possible negative impacts made from holding events, especially light and sound, towards the surrounding wildlife?
Well, basically, no events held at the habitat or noisy and events which utilize lighting and whatnot and sound systems will happen after sunset. So nothing goes beyond 8 p.m. as a rule of thumb. And this applies, generally speaking, to the most of Penang Hill. So most events which are loud or noisy and require lighting and whatnot, and may have a negative impact on the environment, on nature and wildlife, we generally do not hold them beyond sunset. And the habitat itself is because it's a nature park. Generally speaking, we don't use a lot of energy. We don't use a lot of lighting. The main places are the ticket office and the F&B outlet, F&B and retail outlet, and those are minimal. And there is some offset using solar already as an alternative source of energy, but not to the point of the extent of the arboretum in Kemuda, of course. I mean, you guys really set the standard. So I mean, wow. Really
we are still learning.
Yeah, amazing though what you guys do.
I remember visiting the habitat at night. I visited in the evening for the sunset. Even at night, I think illumination was really just restricted to like emergency lighting.
Yes.
And I think even the guides that usher you out, they were like wearing this torchlights on their head.
And they use red or orange light, which is wildlife friendly as well. So night mammals that come out at night and they were nocturnal generally do not mind red light and orange light. So we've actually consulted with renowned naturalist Irshad Mubarak, based out of Langkawi. We've consulted with MNS and all our partners in academia, all the scientists that we work with to do the research and the baseline studies, on all these operational standards and SOPs, basically, to really minimize our impact, our negative impacts.
Oh, great. A question to Egon about water features. I think there's challenges of evaporation and climate, alternative water sources, the microclimate effect, which I think you've already responded to very well in your presentation. So a lot of times we do ask, like in high heat, high evaporation climates, water loss is a major ecological concern. So what are the advanced technologies that Crystal Fountains has implemented to mitigate water wastage?
So there's a couple of points where you can think about it, Yongpeng. Thanks for the question. So for example, wind sensor, so that you not have splash around when the wind is there because of the jets. Most time we are doing the jets straight up 2 meters, 3 meters. I have seen from Asia in the fountain 50 meters maybe. But sometimes in urban space, you don't need this height. So do the jets only 50 centimeter high and arching it, as in one of the pictures, then you don't have so much water evaporations in the fountain. It's something what you normally are discussing. I understand that, but on the other side, this fountain brings a cooling effect to the area close to it. So it's a plus and minus, let's say it this way.
I see. Okay. Carissa, I've seen water features, playing an integral part, right, in your Gamuda Cove projects. In fact, there's that huge, monumental, epic-sized aerator, right? So that's not just for aesthetics, is it? It's actually part of the ecosystem.
I mean, one of it, of course, it serves as aesthetic, but it also showcases as landmark, that it will be attractive that you can actually see the fountain from far. If I'm not mistaken, it's within 20 to 30 meters height. And at the same time, it also aerates the water. When the water get agitated, the movement of water is controlled. So it helps in maintaining the pond at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Alan, how come no water elements in habitat in the hill?
We're too high up on the ridge and the hill, so all the water is below. All the water is below us. We're gonna get Egon over to have a look.
Let me come over and make a design for you.
Yeah, there's one thing that's missing at the habitat is water.
Maybe with maze or fog system, in the forest.
I think so.
That's right.
It can be a seasonal thing,
Yeah.
We can turn it on in the dry season in December to April, that kind of thing. Make it a feature, of the experience. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'm coming over and give you.
I'll connect you to the team.
But I think one of the things I really do appreciate, though, Alan, is like the intended implementation of the porous flooring, the hydromedia.
The hydromedia, yes.
Yeah. So allowing storm water to flow through it.
Yes.
So and you've got that kind of like accidental but delightful effects of like the building up of moss along the edges, right?
Yes. Very pretty.
Okay. So technically still designing with water in mind, that way.
Certainly. It's all about managing water.
Now, I think a question for all three of you is really the end game. You've all overseen projects, from the inception, documentation, and then to the actual physical completion. But for that, a lot of us, that's not the end of the story. In fact, as visionaries and implementers of these projects, that's kind of where the fun or nightmare begins. We have to think of maintenance and upkeep, drafting of guidelines, making sure that everything is still economically viable, sustainable. So how do you all ensure, in your build projects, that they continue to serve this intended purpose, that they will be in safe hands and continue to be enjoyed by all? Who's gonna answer first?
Carissa? Oh, Egon? Ladies first.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. I think maintenance is one of important aspects, if you remember correctly, throughout the slides, you hardly see so much flowers. Most are native species. Native species thrives in our weather, with our soil, and that require less maintenance. And by having this natural element, that suits the environment, help in suppress the maintenance in the long run. And of course, we do not want to be designing something which is too bare, that is, there's no feature or there's no character to it. So we slowly, we guided by the wetlands guidelines and ecosystem on how do we promote natural, swampy, marshes element into something interesting. So rather than focusing on something a bit too curated or ornamental, I think that will be the approach that we are taking, to making sure that the maintenance will be lower down. And of course, it is not easy because the guideline or Gamuda Park's principle policy also highlight on what sort of fertilizer will you be using? You want to encourage, insects, reptiles, and other animals to habit the park, and yet you are doing something different. So a lot of studies being done and research to get a better understanding what will be the right mix. So that help in guiding us in the long run. So I hope that answer your question.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I think the key is that it takes a lot of thought.
Yeah.
A lot of things that you've just talked about, Carissa, are things which we also went through.
Yeah.
No harmful chemical pesticides.
Yeah.
Use because you don't want to harm nature. You want to sort of promote it, right? Just things that may not have. Which you kind of need to think out of the box a little bit about in order for the long term. I mean, there were challenges, of course, in how we thought that we had it all planned and we all thought out. But then November 2017, there were devastating storms in Penang, in the north of Malaysia, Peninsula Malaysia, which caused over 300 landslides just on Penang Hill alone. Over almost 40 landslides just along our trail, which shut down and closed down about 30% of our park. So, we had to go back and rethink things, and really, address some of the water management issues, which really were not properly sufficiently addressed in the early planning stages. So we had to learn, the hard way, in a way, in that sense. But another thing that it sort of resonated with me when you were talking about your process, Carissa, was we initially planned for the nature trail to comprise of about 20 to 25% curated gardens. So hydrangeas, typical British rose gardens and things of that nature. Because of the heritage of Penang Hill.
Pretty.
Yes, as a hill station, colorful, right? But we very quickly realized, and this is in no small part to our engagement with the scientific and academic community, and also our founders' commitment to be a real Malaysian rainforest experience, basically. So we then pivoted away from exotic plants and introduced plants and non-natives, and we really just made it as as natural as possible. We are actually on the verge of a protected virgin jungle reserve, the Bukit Kerajaan Government Hill Permanent Forest Reserve. So the habitat itself only sits on approximately 18 acres of real estate, of state land, and the state is our public-private partner. But we are on the verge of a 2,000 hectare, virgin jungle, which is why it's really quite unique, quite special in that way. Yeah.
Very sensitive.
I think the correlation there,
Yes.
right, between Carissa and Ellen is
Yes.
we see local plants, native plants, indigenous plants, being a lot more resilient, compared to say the exotic ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So putting thought into that in the planning process, I think it will pay dividends in the long run, as Carissa mentioned.
Oh, great. Okay.
I mean, on the side note, Pia,
Yeah.
was also informed that from the team that the maintenance cost has actually dropped to 50%.
50.
Wow.
Having
Amazing.
to have something more natural and
Yeah.
less busy and less decorative. Hopefully, people would appreciate that now. Starting to appreciate.
I think you do see the departure of people. I think the boxy, very manicured style. It starts to evolve to the more natural kind of setting already, which people are starting to appreciate as well. Okay, Egon, over to you.
Okay, so I have to say, with my more than 25 years experience, there's no maintenance-free fountain. This is impossible.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like a car, so you have to do something. But you can make it smaller and not so expensive when you think about this topic, when you start the design and how you build up the fountain, in which environment, and how big you like to have it, what water you are using, and so on. The accessibility to the products when you have to change something, when you have to clean it, and so on and so on. But on the other side, we try in our project always to sell a maintenance plan as well for 2 to 5 years. So, and this brings the maintenance to the place that the people, when they buy the fountains, they buy the maintenance for the first years as well, and then they see the effect and the good shape of the fountain. And then normally they continue with the maintenance. And we at Crystal are working worldwide with the partners, so that not Crystal is doing the maintenance, the local guys are doing the maintenance. They are really close to the fountain, because otherwise you are flying around the world and to do a maintenance what is footprint-wise.
The word on the street is you come to KL quite often, is it?
Yeah, I'm close to this. I'm close to this project for a long time.
Yeah.
Crystal Fountain.
Which one is it?
Huh?
Which project in KL?
KACC in the Twin Towers.
Oh, that one.
That one. And they are doing a really good job, and it's a very well maintained fountain because they have a 5 years contract always. So it's beautiful maintained. Everyone who is living in Malaysia, please go in front of the Twin Towers or to the garden and enjoy the sound and the noise of the water and the beautiful effect with the lighting and the environment.
Okay, yes, I have been there many times. I can vouch that, you know.
Okay, next time we meet each other there.
By the fountain.
By the fountain. In front.
By the fountain.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got, I think, 2 more questions from the audience, but it is 11:45 a.m. Alan, if you like, you may be excused. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and really sorry for having to run off a bit early. So thank you again. Thank you again
we'll
for
take
the
it from
honor
here.
and invite.
Thanks, Alan.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you.
Okay, we've got 2 questions from the audience, both to Carissa. The first one is thanks, Carissa, for sharing your project. It's an amazing feat. Congratulations. I would like to know, what was your methodology and approach towards tree protecting strategy while construction? Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Daniel, and for your question. We did a few things. One of it is we cordon the area. You know, we properly mark, we call it a tree protecting zone. You know, I remember when we were doing our Splash Mania project, we wanted to create an instant effect, you know, of planting. And fair enough, I have not done like tropical planting in layering. So what we've done is we bring the plants and mix them together and cordon the area, making sure that, you know, there won't be no machineries going to that area. We put a clear marking, you know, with the red net around it and saying that tree protecting zone, please do not disturb. But of course, you know, in construction, people would just hang their drinks, you know, coffee ice, Milo ice on the pole, and something that we cannot do. But it's constant education and, you know, giving them information. Why do we need to do that? So the other one is like, once the tree is tagged, we will let the construction head know that, okay, this area is protected. Please do not encroach to this area. And there are certain things why we need to prepare the tree before we transport it to the other side or before we do anything with it. So we have to go through like few stages, but the challenges is there. But when you tell them, you know, why we are doing certain thing, what they need to do, how do they solve the issue if they cannot go towards that side, I think they are more than happy to support us.
Oh, great. Okay, I think that's a very good response. Now we'll go to the last set of questions, again to you, Carissa. Well, it does start with, thank you, speakers, for sharing your wonderful projects. What was the business case for Gamuda wetland developments and continued monitoring? Are they revenue generating? I suppose this kind of ties in with, you know, Alan's mantra that, you know, economic development, you know, does not have to come at the expense of the environment, right?
Yeah, I would look at it in a different aspect of economy, you know. The park that we design increase the property value around it. That brings up the sale better, you know. The understanding of people loves to live next to the park. They love to be surrounded by park because they know that there is a positive aspect to their well-being and health. So that is one aspect of economy. The other one is that we are also looking at attracting investors and financial body. You know that how sustainably you are, who are the supply chains, you know, the ESG, the standard question, how responsive are you to the community or the native community around you, has actually elevated us to another level. So that is another set of economy that we're looking at. And the last one is making sure that the park itself is self-sustaining. You know, if we are struggling with the maintenance, the park is not sustainable. It will require, you know, so much cost in making sure that the park is in good condition. That will be another side of, you know, which is not cost efficient. So I'm looking at three aspects. One, cost effective. Two, as investors or financial body. And three is lifting up the sales for a unique living experience, living unique character of the space, and be able to be used by multiple generation, not only for the children, for the families, you know, and the elderly, perhaps if they want to, you know, they want to go out to the park and, you know, look at the fountain and be under the shades, or, you know, smells the nature, or forest bathing or something like that, you know, or camping. So that will in, you know, help in improving the economy. It is not designed for income generation. It is more of, you know, focusing on education, edutourism, and sustainable design.
Oh, that's great. So it's a
Yeah,
it's a
because
very
it is a topic.
idealist vision, isn't
Yeah,
it? And it's
yeah.
it's so heartening to see, you know, it being embraced, you know, by the community, by
I
the
mean,
potential buyers.
it's open for public, but if public wants to come and, you know, they want to camp, so we probably
Yeah.
will charge them, you know, like per head or something like that, because making sure that their
Mm.
safety is important.
Yeah.
If they want to conduct any event, birthday party, wedding photographs, that one we
Yeah.
will just on basis lah, ad hoc basis.
Mm.
So we it's not that we do not encourage that. We are more than happy to support, you know, even corporate event, corporate team building. So
Yeah.
we have a team to look into that. So the park is supposed to be enjoyable to everyone, and at the same time, you know, hopefully generating income in a different way.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I recall, I think there was a bicycle rental there the last time I visited. We should
Yeah.
visit together, Egon. I heard you like cycling.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lovely thought.
That's
Okay,
good.
well, thank you. With that, this concludes our talk and share session for today. So I would really like to thank everyone, the speakers, Alan, Carissa, and Egon. Thank you, Crystal Fountains, as well, for being such a strong supporter of our profession. So I hope to see you in Penang one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and for the audience as well, thank you so much for tuning in. I heard, you know, it's a pretty solid turnout today. So thank you for that. So until next time, wishing you all a very good Friday and a great weekend ahead.
Happy weekends.
Thank
Happy
you.
Friday.
Happy
Weekend.
weekend. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.